As you navigate your path through life, all that is required is that you take one step at a time. Though hard it may be at times, each day, be committed to show up strong. Some days your strength can look different to other days. Just know this, that whenever you're at your worst, try to look your best. Dress up and face the world. That's the first step towards moving forward. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one simple step. Lao Tzu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the One Step Podcast. I'm Dr. Jozelle Miller here in lovely St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we are streaming live from the beautiful Sunset Shores Hotel in Villa St. Vincent. And today I want to just invite you to come and be a part of this conversation. Remember that the One Step Podcast features testimonies and stories of persons who have basically triumph through their difficulties, their challenges, and they're now using their stories as a means of inspiration and a motivation to others. We know that life can hit you very hard at different times, and it is important for us to know how to navigate these challenges, putting one foot in front of the other and taking that step. And today we have a very exciting, interesting, intriguing story from our special guest whom you will meet shortly. But for now, just sit back as we take in just a little word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Video marketing just got a whole lot better with CG Productions. Our promo videos are guaranteed to captivate your audience and drive results. Say hello to more traffic.
Don't settle for ordinary marketing materials. Choose CG Productions for extraordinary results.
Remember, we set up and you just show up. Make your next picnic a luxury picnic.
Sticking around and coming back to be a part of this conversation. Now, I want you to just simply call any of your friends who might be an entrepreneur or thinking of starting a small business. I want you to bring your girlfriends or anybody who is into cosmetology, because this is definitely going to be a conversation you want to be a part of. Today, our special guest is Miss Auldine Browne. She is no stranger at all to the Vincentian population. She is a beautiful queen, and today we are going to be hearing a bit about her story. And I want to just simply say welcome. Welcome to the One Step Podcast.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm really, really excited about being here.
Thank you. So, we have heard so much about Auldine, and over the years, you have really expanded in terms of your business, your brand, and I must say I'm very proud of you.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
after following your journey from start up to where we are now. And even before we go into the business part of it, I want you to be able to tell us a bit about who is Auldine behind the scenes, behind all the glitz and the glam. Who is Auldine?
Well, Auldine Browne. So my maiden name is Butte, and I'm from the very quiet village of Daphne. I've had my primary education at the Gourmet Methodist School, then at the St. Joseph Convent, Maria Croix. Um, I have a daughter, a beautiful daughter, Rondine, and I now reside in Level Gardens. I'm also a widow.
Oh, okay. So you are a widow. Tell us a little bit about that because grief is a big thing to overcome. How long ago since you would have lost your husband?
Okay, I've lost my husband for about 10 years now. I
Oh,
mean, it seems as if it's a long time, but
mhm.
to me, it's just as if
Still
it was
fresh.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes when persons lose a loved one, it can literally set you way back. You know.
And yes, and I've had my shares of setback, through losing persons who have been very instrumental in my development as a woman and my development as an entrepreneur as well, because those persons who I would have lost would have been very key persons in or key support, I should say,
Hmm.
in my business.
Yeah. And I think recently you would have lost your mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Recently, I've lost my mom, um, just a little over a year.
Okay.
So,
All right. So we'll go back to that in a while.
yeah.
But I want to find out a bit more as it relates to Aldine and you as a professional and your brand.
Okay. So, I'm the owner of Styling Chic by Auldine and Auldines Cosmetics, Auldines Wall Decor, and Glitz and Glam. And I have a few other things coming in stream, but we'll hear of them a little later, you know. But I started Styling Chic by Auldines um, 23 years ago,
Okay.
20 to 23 years ago. And the thing is, I never really wanted to be a cosmetologist. But
Yeah.
I don't know, I just had it in me because while I was in secondary school, I always seemed to have been dabbling in makeup and being creative, I started using like um, creating my own colors from using crepe paper. I started using like highlighting my eyebrows or my brow bones by using metallic lipsticks. And I just
Okay.
started to be creative and, I found myself doing hair for relatives,
Hmm.
my mom. I was like her personal hairstylist while I was in school, doing a jerry curl when I didn't even know exactly what I was doing, but I know
Right.
I was just doing it and it was looking good, So to me at that time, it was probably like a hobby or something that I think I just enjoyed doing because I like the whole
Hmm.
beautification of oneself and stuff like that, But I really wanted to be a nutritionist.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And coming from a humble beginning, in those days,
Hmm.
there weren't much scholarships available. So for
Right.
you to be able to pursue careers in areas like that, you have to either be an island scholar or you have to get a loan from the bank, and none of that was
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 possible.
possible for me,
Okay.
you know.
All right. So you wanted to be a nutritionist, but your passion found you.
Yes, yes,
And that is so interesting because sometimes in the Caribbean, especially, when you're growing up, you hear parents would always emphasize, I want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, police, a teacher, or something like that. But
yes,
people always tend to think anything that is within the arts or skills like you use your hands, that persons may not be able to make a life from that.
right.
But I am so happy that you're now able to say that you had a passion, you had something that you did as a hobby, and
Hmm.
look at where you are now. You're creating an empire out of your hobby. I mean, that is something noteworthy, for especially young people to understand. So, okay, you're now at the point where you are falling more into this whole cosmetology. What were some of the steps? What did you do to get you to where you are now?
Was practicing it. So I saw the opportunity to get some formal training.
Okay.
And I said, okay, if I'm practicing this, I want to know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I want to give my clients my best,
Mm-hmm.
So I enrolled in the class, I completed it. Still wasn't thinking that I want to make this a career,
Oh, okay.
but I just wanted to know the right way to do
Okay.
what,
Yes.
to practice it.
Uh-huh.
Then the opportunity came where someone was closing our salon. It was then Barnett's for Hair Fashions in the roundabout Annisville.
Right.
So my husband and I went because he was related to the owners. We went and we wanted to just buy a few equipments so I can have them to use at home when persons come to my home to get their hair done. And after discussion, the owner said, "Well, you know what? We can give you the space. And we can rent you the space, I should say, at a very minimal cost with everything in it. So it came with products, it came with equipment, and
Oh,
it came
wow.
with clients. You know,
A
so
one-stop shop.
yes, yes. And so I always say I've been really blessed. This had to be, this had to be the area that God wanted me to be in, because things just happened like that.
Yeah.
So I started my business right there, with the clients that came from the previous owners.
Right.
And I decided that I was going to keep the name for a while because, persons were already accustomed with Barnett's
Yes.
Fair Hair Fashions. So I decided, okay, I'll keep the name for a while. And fast forward a few years later, I decided, I would have already established myself as Auldine, So I think it's now safe for me to be able to give my shop my brand.
Yeah.
So I changed the name from Style and Chic, from Barnett Fair Fashions to Style and Chic by Auldine.
I like that because one of the things that we have to always pay attention to is that sometimes when we get into something, we are quick to change.
Right.
We are quick to, as they say, throw out the baby and the bath water. But you recognize the fact that there was already a name and a reputation built with Barnett. So even your husband would have invested there, started there. And we want to talk a little bit about how things unfolded after you would have lost him. Okay, but we're going to be right back. We're going to just pause a little bit again and recognize some of the sponsors that we have for this program.
At the Vallejo Experience, your total wellness is our concern. We offer professional counseling for a variety of life's personal and corporate challenges, including grief, bereavement, and post-traumatic stress. Our corporate packages also include competitive coping strategies, individual and group dynamics, professional development, and retreats. Perhaps you just need a wellness assessment or some help understanding who you are to restore your emotional balance. Whatever your emotional needs, remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step with the Vallejo experience. Talk to a specialist today. Call us at 1784-498-7772 or visit our website at www.vallejoexperience.com.
Attention all business owners. Are you tired of ineffective marketing strategies? Look no further. CG Productions is here to revolutionize your marketing game. We offer quality flyers, promotional videos, audio production, and other marketing materials that will set you apart from the competition. Say goodbye to mediocre marketing and hello to stunning, professional materials that will capture your audience's attention. Visit us online today at CG Productions to see what we can do for your business. Quality marketing materials, guaranteed. CG Productions, your marketing solution.
Welcome back, and we are speaking with the beautiful Auldine Browne, Styling Chic by Auldine, and she is an entrepreneur, she's an inspiration, she's a speaker, she is one who is beyond creative and living her passion. And before we ended or took that break, we were speaking about the fact that she and her husband would have started out and invested in her stuff or her business, and unfortunately she would have lost him along the way. And we want to speak a little bit now in terms of how did that loss, how did you manage your grief, and at any point did you feel like just throwing in the towel?
Yes. Prior to his passing, I got the opportunity to migrate for a little bit because we had plans to migrate a bit, and I worked with the largest makeup and skincare company in the world, Estee Lauder, which is the parent company for Clinique. So I worked between Estee Lauder and Clinique as a beauty consultant. And, I took that job, although I had my shop, I had a worker who I really could have relied on. So she managed things here for me. And I saw the opportunity I saw it as a training opportunity because they were training you like 2 times a year with the chemist. And so I saw that as an opportunity and decided, okay, I think I want to try this, So I migrated, and so while I was away, he wasn't feeling well, and then he called me again. He told me, Dean, I had to self-diagnose myself, because we've been going to doctors and they've been telling us this and they've been telling us that, so I self-diagnosed myself because of family history. My mother had cancer, my aunt, my cousins. So I figured, okay, might as well I check for that. So he did, and he took his diagnosis to the doctor because, like, my husband was, to date, I think, like, he's the most intelligent person I've ever met, like, really intelligent. And he took it to a doctor who later then confirmed that, yes, he had cancer of the colon. So when he called me at work and he told me that, like, I
lost it.
Up to this moment, I don't know what I did with my phone. Like, I don't know. I just probably like flung my phone away and I just lost it. I like cried. I couldn't hold myself up. And the next day I was on a plane back to St. Vincent. I didn't even tell my managers that I was leaving to come back home because I didn't even tell him, because if I told him I was coming back home, he would have discouraged me. He'd have said, oh, it's okay, I'm going to be okay and whatever. No one knew I was coming back home. I left my apartment that I had there with everything. The one co-worker I told, because I needed a ride to the airport, and I just packed a small bag and I went home, and he was in the hospital and I went straight to the hospital, and that was it. I decided I wasn't going to leave his side, he did the surgery and everything, and we were very hopeful, my daughter and I, we were very hopeful that he would have survived, because we were really praying for God's healing, and sometimes we say we pray for God's will to be done.
Yeah.
But at that time, I didn't really want God's will because I didn't know what his will was.
Yeah.
I just wanted our will to be done. I just wanted him to be healed, but he was, I don't know, I think he accepted the fact that he was going to die because, like, his birthday was October, and he said, I'm going to live to see my birthday, but I'm not going to live to see Christmas. And he died on November 6th.
Wow.
And it's so funny that we've been married for how many years before then? This year it would have been 25 years. And I never heard him sing. That morning I was preparing breakfast, and the Oldie Goldie song was playing on the radio, and I heard him down in the living room singing out, And so I turned around and I was like, Ron, is that you I'm hearing? He said, yes. I said, but for all these years, I've been begging you to sing because you love music so much and you hated your voice and you never sang. He said, well, now you know. Now you hear, And that day I was leaving home to go to the Prime Minister's office to get some funding to take him abroad. And while when I left home, I said I was going to close the door. I was going to leave the door unlocked. And because persons used to come and visit him, And although he was sick with cancer, he was a very strong person, so he was never bedridden. He always still tried to do everything for himself. And on that day, I decided to leave home. That was the day he passed away.
Oh, wow.
And he went to use the washroom, and he never made it out. So when I got the call, one of his friends, who was a pastor, went to visit him, and he called and he wasn't getting any answer. But then he was hearing a moaning sound. So he went in and realized that he was in the washroom, and he told his friend, I can't move. He couldn't move, so he just was sitting down on the floor. And the friend prayed with him, and the friend got him to repeat the sinner's prayers and ask for forgiveness. And as soon as he did that, his eyes was just closed, So they called me right away, and when I came, I still got a pulse, and I still, up to this day, I still believe he didn't die when they said, because when we called the doctor didn't come. The doctor said, okay, if he had cancer, well, probably he's dead, and you just call the ambulance. And because I knew I was feeling a slight pulse. I haven't had a nurse who came, and she was feeling a slight pulse, and we had to call and get someone to not bring Rondine home, because one of the things that the teachers in school told me, because she had to go to counseling while he was sick, one of the things the teachers told me is that she was always worried that she may come home and meet him dead. And that was, if we didn't stop her, that would have been what she would have experienced.
Yeah.
And so after he died, I had to have the conversation with her and let her know that our life has changed. Things are going to be different, because the things that she's accustomed to, we'll have to scale back on it. One day I took her to the supermarket and we walked around, and I said, Rondine, you see this cereal, like your Lucky Charms and all those expensive cereal you like? I said, we won't be able to buy them as often. I buy them every now and again, but we'll have to buy something else, because it's only me alone. And, financially, we are not the way we used to be without your dad around. And she was very understanding. The business took a bit of a hit, yes, because I no longer had that support I needed, because I used to get sorry. And I mean, he was an accountant, and he was a very integral part in ensuring that things was being run properly in the shop. And it was so funny that a few days before he died, he wanted me to bring the staff to the home so he could train them in QuickBooks, because he was like, so when I'm gone, you need to have someone to help you with these things.
So he was always thinking ahead.
he was always thinking, and my daughter, up to this day, my daughter would say, Daddy killed himself with his tongue, with his tongue. She always said Daddy killed himself with his tongue because he always said that he is going to die, he is going to die. And
Perhaps it was his way of preparing you guys, that.
I guess so. I guess so. And as I said, he was a very strong person. He was not afraid to die, you know, and stuff like that. And we just had to eventually adjust our lives. And
What were some of the things you did at that time to start moving again?
um, I pushed myself more into my involvement in church, you know, because when he was sick, I really wasn't going to church as often because, I was like living in the home, like I was
Right.
just there, and he didn't like it. He didn't like the fact that I was
Always by
always,
his
he
side.
thought that he took our lives away from us, you know. So I decided I wanted to like now refocus myself and get my spirituality back, so I really pushed myself into getting back to church and stuff like that. And that really did help me in that time, help me
Right.
to cope, reignite my hope and trust in God, and know that things do happen for a reason, and sometimes the reason is beyond
Right.
us.
So your faith was an integral part.
Yes.
Okay. What in terms of the business in itself? Because I'm guessing even going back there may have been difficult, thinking about all of the things that he would have done or the decisions made. At any point, did you think like he should give up or he didn't want to do it anymore?
And not really. At that point, I didn't really feel like I wanted to give up. Like, but when after he died, I decided I wanted to throw my weight full into the business again,
Okay.
especially because I was away for a while. So I started taking on other jobs. I was like a technician for motion, representative for motions product in St. Vincent. I started doing consultations at Corey City Store. I started doing things to keep myself
So you
busy.
expanded yourself.
Yes, I started writing for the newspaper, and stuff like that. Just basically because I know it was just me. I had no other support at the time, so I know I had Randy depending on me, so I know I had to get up and get all the creative juices
Yeah.
running, you know.
And the fact that you had your daughter, perhaps as well, was also a motivation because at the end of the day, too, you're mindful that there's this little one looking at you and she's expecting that mommy is going to be there, mommy is
Yes,
going to push through.
yes, like Rondine is my life.
Yes.
I don't know how this may sound, but Rondine is my life, and everything I do, everything I aspire to accomplish, all involves Rondine,
Yeah.
because I always think that I'm the only parent she has, and she's like one of my biggest supporter and inspiration to push forward.
And you taught her well because I've seen her work as well. And you should be a proud mom to know that, your legacy is now being lived on, not just in Rondine, because you have taught so many other cosmetologists
Yes,
here in St. Vincent.
yes.
And that's one of the important things as well in terms of being able to move forward in our own lives through our own difficulties. When we start empowering others, it also helps to pull us out of
Yes,
that ditch.
that is so true. That's so true. Yes.
So how many persons you think to date have you trained, if you can give a figure?
Um, I would probably like say it would probably be about 200 or something or more. Sometimes I meet students and forget, and they say, Miss Brown, you remember me? I used to be in your class, or post a message, and the names would sound familiar, and then I would be like, can't remember how long ago that was, and it was like, oh, Miss Brown, that was about 15 years ago, because I actually started training persons about like a year or so after I opened my business, the
Oh,
opportunity
okay.
came from the adult education for me to start training persons, and I've been doing that since.
Well, kudos to you. I mean, to be doing that for so many years,
Yeah.
it is really an indication that this is not just you doing something for financial gain, but this is something that you actually love.
Yes, I do. I do. I really do love the teaching aspect of it, because I get to see person's life transformed.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see you have persons who you've trained opening up salons,
Mm-hmm.
in the same geographical demographic as you
Yeah.
are, and you're not feeling like they are your competition.
Well, that's it. A lot of times people don't like to train others or they don't like to help because they feel that you're gonna come and take away my clients, or you become intimidated by their presence. But I like the fact that you are able, people are setting up their own stuff, but you still have your brand
Yes.
and your name.
Yeah.
And that is quite commendable.
Yes. One cosmetologist told me one time, she said, "But Arlene, you're all a real joker. I mean, you keep training these people to come and take your clients." And I said, I mean, like, I'm only Arlene,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be here forever,
Hmm.
and I can't service everybody in St. Vincent
Exactly.
and the Grenadines.
Exactly.
So I feel good when I could see one of my students' name there,
Yeah.
you know, and see that they're doing a very wonderful job.
Hmm.
It says a lot, not only about them, but it says a lot about me and the
Yeah.
type of training I've been
Exactly.
giving to young
Yeah.
persons.
I'm very proud of you for that. And one of the things I want to say to persons, understand that there is power in your mindset. And if you have an abundance mindset, you're not threatened by opposition, you're not threatened by what appears to be competition, because there's so much more out there.
Yes.
And we are just simply one individual making a difference. And if everybody is concerned about building and developing themselves and others, then we'll be in a good place.
Yes. Yes.
So we're going to pause again, and this will be our last break for now. And when we come back, Auldine is going to share a bit more in terms of all of her ventures. You heard she listed out about 4 different things at the start. And we're going to hear a bit more about the product line and all the things that she's doing and see what the future looks like for Auldine. All right, so stay with us and we'll be right back.
Remember, we set up and you just show up. Make your next picnic.
Welcome back, and we are enjoying the lovely ambience of Sunset Shores Beach Hotel in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we are listening to the insights, the story of Miss Auldine Browne. I discovered that name today, Butte Brown. And she's speaking a bit about her own journey as an entrepreneur and sharing the personal aspects in terms of how she would have lost her husband. But we are going to speak a little bit more about loss, and this time she would have recently lost her mom. And we want to know how she would have navigated that grieving process, to actually keep moving forward and keep growing and being the Auldine that she is today. So tell us a bit about that.
So I lost my mom um, at the peak of the COVID period, 2021, the latter part of 2021. And when that did happen, I was sick as well. So it was like, to date, it's the worst period of my life. Like I've never, I've experienced loss, but I've never experienced loss like this, where I was ill and dealing with the loss at the same time, and the loss of my mother, who is like was the most important person in my life. Like the relationship that my mother and I had, it was a relationship like no other. Something like what Rondine and I have now. For two of all my adult years, 2 years I've lived without my mother under my roof. And because after I got married, I spent 2 years, and then I had Rondine. And when I was looking for someone to sit Rondine, she said, you know what? No one is going to come and take care of her grandchild. And mind you, Rondine is not her first grandchild.
Right.
So she quit her job, and she gave up her home, and she came and she moved in and she lived with us. So she has been with me through all my struggles. When it comes to my business, she was like always. I do these back to school initiatives where I go to different communities, and we comb and cut the hairs of the children, and we give them like back to school supplies. And she was always there with me, always there handing out the book bags, and always there. When I launched my product line, which I'll get to later on, sorry, she was always been there with me, like as part of the business,
Right.
sporting her
Oh,
Auldines.
she is part of the business.
Sporting her Auldines t-shirt, and at night when I get home from work and I'm so tired, soon as I get to the door, a matter of fact, if by 7 o'clock I'm not home, she call. So Dean, things busy down there today, because I ain't see reach home yet,
Yeah.
And sometimes she used to leave home and come to wait for me at work.
Wow.
She'll walk from Never Gardens and come down to Kingstown and wait for me when I'm working late and stuff like that. And as soon as when I get home, as soon as I get to the gate, she'll open the door to ensure that I get in safely. She take the towels to get them washed. And sometimes I say leave them until tomorrow morning because it's late. And when I wake up in the morning, towels will be washed and hanging already.
She's an exceptional mother.
I'll be so tired and decide, okay, I'm not hungry, I just want to go to sleep. And then I'll hear a knock on the door with a cup of tea. Come and drink this, I know you don't want to eat, but drink this. Sometimes I didn't open my eyes in mornings, I see door knocking, breakfast in bed. So when she passed away, that was like, I felt like that was the end of my world, and I felt it so much so because sometimes we have to be guarded by what we say.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation in the salon about a few weeks before she passed, and I was telling them about how much I loved her, my mom, and the closeness, and and I said something. I said, I don't know what my life would be like without my mom.
Yeah.
And I keep going back to that and regretting that I did say something like that. And my mom passed, and I really didn't know what my life is going to be like without her.
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself living without my mom. It's like I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I stayed away from my shop for almost 8 months. I didn't go to the salon.
Wow.
I didn't work. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't even want to go out to go to the supermarket. And every day every single day I would cry nonstop, you know, and I felt like I was so alone. It was like the most lonesome time of my life, you know, and at the time because I had COVID, so I was grieving,
And
but no one could have
around.
been
Yeah.
there to come and give a hug or, you know, and at that time I felt like I
Yeah.
saw who my friends were. I saw who really and truly cared about me, you know, and you know, there's very few persons, some persons who really stood by me, you know. And you know, there's this one particular person who's very special in my life who said, you know what, I'm not going to allow you to go down.
Yeah.
I am going to take you and I am going to take care of you because you have to get back out there. You have too much to offer, you know, and I'm not even going to be pushing you either. I'm going to let you do things on your term, but I'm just going to be the support that you need at this time. And you know, while I was in my grieving period, you know, and I had my daughter to consider, you know, I can't just give up. I have Rondine, and Rondine just lost a grandmother who she was so close to, who was like her own mother. She lost her father. So I mean, I can't put my child through that again, you know, by losing a mom. You know, and you know, I had to pull myself, you know, but during the grieving period and I was at home, I started looking at I see myself as a creative person, you know, so I started looking at things around the house just to occupy my time while I was just home doing nothing. And I started creating some beautiful wall art pieces, you know, with mirrors, you know. So I took like I had a drawer with just a set of disposable spoons that when I buy the food, I just
saw something like that once.
yes. So I just put them in a drawer. So I pull up the drawer and I took them out and I started doing different creating different designs with that. Then I use sticks, I use stones, and you know, I got marbles and I started creating stuff and taking pictures, you know, and just posting them on my WhatsApp, and people start inquiring and wanting to buy them. And that's when Auldine wall art design was born. And I always say it was born to grief, you know. And now looking back at losing my mom, I told someone, I can't remember if it was you I told, but I told someone that I want to get to the stage or get to the place where I can say to God, I'm very thankful that you took my mom at that time. You know, because I believe
It's hard.
I know, but I don't know why I believe that I'm going to get to that point where
You will.
I would be able to thank him, because I believe that he took her at that time for a bigger purpose and it was bigger than me. You know, I couldn't understand. I asked why, because my mother was a God-fearing mother. Like, I've never heard anyone prayed as much as my mother did. Like, she prayed nonstop. Every time I passed out of bedroom, she's praying. You know, and she was like strong up to the very day she died. And I just couldn't understand how she died the way she died. You know, but she always used to tell me, she always said, Dean, I don't talk to my God. And I said, whenever you're ready for me, I don't want to give Deed any trouble. I don't want to be lying down in no bed. I don't want to, you know, my children to be having to take care of me. I want you to just take me one time in my full strength. She used to say, I don't want to turn dotish and don't know what to do. And that is exactly what happened.
Okay.
My mother walked, when I called the ambulance for her, she walked to the ambulance. She was strong. I spoke to her. I called at the hospital and I spoke to her a few hours before she died, and she was sounding good and, you know, tell each other we love each other. And I said, I'm going to be seeing you soon and stuff like that, you know. And it just happened
God
like
had
that.
other plans.
You know, it just happened like that. A fall, and that was it. She never got back up. You know, and so I believe she got what she prayed and asked God for. So because of that, I always say that I believe I would get to the point where I would thank God for taking her at the time when He did. you know.
But you said something a while ago, which is extremely important for us to understand that sometimes a lot of magnificent things are birthed through grief and hardships.
Mm-hmm.
And it is how you push through the pain. Just when you think in terms of giving birth to a baby,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to go through the labor pains.
Yes.
Nobody wants the labor pain, but you want the baby. And even to know that something creative was birthed from there, but even your transition in terms
Mm-hmm.
of your own spiritual life, mentally,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, you're at a different place now, you're at a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe eventually you'll get to that point where you can say, Thank you, God. And I
Yes.
believe you're already saying it, probably
So,
not voicing it, but
yeah.
the way you're living your life is already saying, Thank you, God, for all that I have experienced thus far.
Yes. Yes.
So that's
Uh,
good.
yes. And I always believe that God allow us to
Hmm.
go through some situations so that He can get the glory from it.
Hmm.
You know, and the glory from it, He getting the glory from it can mean other persons are
Benefiting.
benefiting.
Yeah. I usually say, no, it's not about us.
Mm-hmm.
We are the ones feeling it. We are the ones going through it. But it is for us to now use it to help someone else.
Yes.
And even the concept or the idea behind one step, it is pretty much to get persons to understand it is not always about you. It's not about you, but helping someone else to
Mm-hmm.
take that next step. And just as your friend said, that they're not going to allow you to go down. They're going to give you the space needed. They're going to give you the time needed, but they're going to be there to hold you accountable to
Yeah.
move forward. That's what we all need.
Yes.
Yes. So kudos to whoever that friend is. Kudos and thumbs
Mm-hmm.
up. And even as we wrap up now, tell us about Auldine, Styling Chic, the wall art. What else is there? What else is going on? What should we expect?
Okay, so I didn't say anything about Auldine Cosmetics.
Oh yes, tell us about
My
cosmetics.
my my golden nugget, I often
Yes.
say, you know, Auldine Cosmetics was launched in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and that in itself was launched because um I don't want to say so much out of grief as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but when I came back to St. Vincent to
Right.
take care of my husband,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people keep asking, oh, so what kind of makeup should I wear? What kind of makeup? I keep referring them to, oh, you can try Clinique this, you can try Estee Lauder this, you can try MAC this, you know. And then I said, okay, but I can have my own makeup line
There you go.
because I have the experience as a makeup artist, one. I have the training when it comes to color theory and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and formulations and stuff like that. And then I know what persons, you know, someone on the ground will know exactly what persons want when they are buying their makeup,
Right.
you know. And we in the tropics tend to sometimes have issues with all the makeup that we choose,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's very hot, the makeup start like riding and sliding
Yeah.
from the face,
Uh-huh.
and you know, so all those concerns I took into consideration, and I decided to travel to the United States and met with some manufacturers, and that's how Audience Cosmetics was born.
Mm-hmm.
And could you believe it? I wanted to just throw that away as well, you
Yeah.
know. But you know, last year, someone anonymously, like, and you wouldn't believe it. Well, they're not anonymous anymore. It was last week I realized someone sent me a link to my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I clicked the link. It was a link that led me to the Taiwanese Women Empowerment
Mm-hmm.
Grant Program, and I applied. You know, and I
Yeah.
was accepted in the program. I I was I got an elite grant, and I went to the finals for the pitch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, competition. And that in that training that I got from that program kind of reignite my interest and my love
Yeah.
in my product, and make me decided, you know, listen, you were willing to just throw this down the drain like that, you know. And I decided to, you know, go full head and embrace my product and show it the love that it
Mm-hmm.
deserved and get it working again.
Very good.
Last week, I was going through my phone and I saw a picture of the person. I saw the link that was sent. But when I look at the profile picture, I recognize the
Who it was?
person.
Yeah.
And it was a one-time client, you know. She's a teacher, and they normally would have invited me to the school to talk to the students, you know, secondary school. And I clicked on it and I said, I at first I didn't recognize. I don't really know you, so, you know, but I want to say thank you because you sent me this link, and because you sent me this link, this happened and
Yeah.
whatever. And then she sent me a video that I did with her hair, and she said, "Oh, Miss Brown, it's me. You did my hair for my birthday, whatever." And I saw it, and I just thought that you could benefit from it, and I sent it to you.
Plant one seed.
You know, and so I always say, thank God, just work things out. You know, so he placed that seed, as you said, in that time when my business went right flat, because you know I wasn't at my shop for 8 months.
Right.
So therefore, you know what would happen.
Yeah.
You know, I already made up my mind that it was gonna be
Done.
done
Yeah.
with. You know, so I wasn't fighting to save it or anything like that. You know, but that came in at the time, and I went through the training, and that kind of helped, as I said, reignited my interest in my business again. So in every loss and everything that we see, we think that, okay, this is to finish us. Sometimes what the saying is, what the devil meant
For evil, God turns around for the good. Yes.
exactly. You know, so that's my life.
And
I
it's never
feel
over until God says it's over, really.
yes.
You know, and the fact that you, how many years ago, would have planted a seed by what? Being professional, being excellent at what you did. Because if, let's say, you had messed up that person's hair, they would not think twice to send you a link.
right.
But sometimes we take it for granted when we do our job on a day-to-day basis, how we need to be excellent in it, because it could really be the seed planted for something later on in life. And consistency,
Yes.
showing up for yourself every single day, even when you don't feel like, you still try to put on a brave face, and you step out and you make it happen.
And another thing, you see giving of yourself without
Yeah.
expecting anything. Like, these people were calling me from the Georgetown Secondary School. They were calling me to come and talk to, and talk to the students. I've never asked for anything in return.
Right.
And she remembered me from just me giving of my service, giving of myself to them. You know, so I always believe that when you give of yourself,
It comes back.
It comes back.
Yeah.
Have no other choice
It
but to
comes
come back.
Yeah.
You know.
So as we wrap up, tell us all of the different things that Auldine is a part of. Give us a snapshot.
So Auldine, well, we have I have Styling by Auldine. It's a beauty salon. We are located upstairs the MTM building that houses the digital outlet opposite Geku. And there you also find Auldine Cosmetics. You find Auldine Cosmetics also at the Joshua Center in the KMK store. Auldine Cosmetics is a full line of makeup specifically formulated for persons in this tropical climatic condition. We also have Auldine wall art design, where we do customized wall art pieces made from reusable resources around the home. Then we also have Glitz and Glam. Glitz and Glam is basically like a retail outlet that sells accessories, that sells accessories and stuff like that. And we have something else that's coming on stream soon that has to do with hair loss, because I'm a trained trichologist. Trichology is basically the study of the hair and the scalp and disorders that leads to it. You know, so I'm in the process of developing some treatments for persons who are experiencing scalp conditions, whether it is severe dermatitis or whether they're experiencing hair loss or severe dandruff conditions and stuff like that.
Okay. And I remember some years ago you came to the Cancer Support Foundation and you spoke to the patients about hair loss following chemotherapy and how to create the wigs and all of these things.
Yes.
And I must thank you for that. And I'm
can't
going to bring you
remember.
back. Yeah. You can't remember, you have been planting many seeds. I'm going to have to bring you back to the
Sure,
foundation
sure.
just to, speak to the group again.
Yes.
Auldine, I am very proud of you.
Thank you very
I
much.
am so very proud of
Thank
you
you.
and all that you have achieved. And I wish you all God's blessings for the years to come. And I know your legacy is going to continue, not just in Rondine, but in all the persons whose lives you have touched. And even as we wrap up, I want to remind persons that if you would have missed the live broadcast, that you can find this podcast on the Go Loud app, which is on the Digicel. You can also find us on the Value Experience YouTube channel and Facebook page. And even the very last thing I'm going to ask Auldine to do is to speak to anyone who might be listening or viewing and they themselves are feeling that they're stuck right now, and you want to give them that encouragement to start moving. And just before you do that, thanks again to Sunset Shows, the beautiful ambience of Sunset Shows, for being the host of our One Step podcast. And, I want to encourage anybody, if you're in St. Vincent or if you're going to be visiting for the carnival or anytime, make it Sunset Shows as your choice of accommodation. So, Auldine, speak to your audience.
I would just like to encourage persons who are going through their desperate situation. Don't give up. You will feel like you want to give up, and it's okay to feel that way because it's part of grieving, but try and surround yourself with a good and strong support system, people who would not pressure you, but persons who would embrace you and empathize with you. Empathy is very important. Empathize with you, but at the same time, encourage you to see greatness in yourself. I encourage you to not want to give up and throw in the towel, because things, as I told Miss Miller, sometimes these things do happen for a greater purpose that we can even
Can't imagine.
And everything is always, I believe everything is in God's plan, and God's plan is always way better than whatever plan we have for our lives.
So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the One Step podcast yet another time. And until next month, take care. Bye-bye.
At the Vallejo Experience, your total wellness is our concern. We offer professional counseling for a variety of life's personal and corporate challenges, including grief, bereavement, and post-traumatic stress. Our corporate packages also include competitive coping strategies, individual and group dynamics, professional development, and retreats. Perhaps you just need a wellness assessment or some help understanding who you are to restore your emotional balance. Whatever your emotional needs, remember, the journey of 1,000 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step with the Vallejo experience. Talk to a specialist today. Call us at 1-784-498-7772 or visit our website at www.vallejoexperience.com.
Video marketing just got a whole lot better with CG Productions. Our promo videos are guaranteed to captivate your audience and drive results. Say hello to more traffic.
Don't settle for ordinary marketing materials. Choose CG Productions for extraordinary results.